right, my friends, we are on the road today to Rockport, Texas. That's right on the Texas coast. Down here in the Gulf is not an easy place to build a house, but we're about to meet a builder on today's episode who really understands the science behind building in this coastal environment. Stay tuned for Jason Harmon of CDK Coastal Homes, building across America. Let's get going.
Build Across America, a Build Original series, is brought to you by Arklin, Builder's First Source, Huber Engineered Woods, Pella, Truss, and ViewRail.
Hey friends, before we jump into today's episode of Building Across America, I want to say a big thanks to one of our sponsors of the Build Show, and specifically to this series, and that's Builder's First Source. You know, I've been a Builder's First Source customer now for over 2 decades, and let me tell you some basics about these guys. You know, one of their sayings is local expertise, nationwide reach. Builder's First Source is bringing coast-to-coast capabilities with over 590 locations across the country. These guys are backed by deep local knowledge and still show up the kind of personal service that you'd expect from a local lumber yard. Build faster and more efficiently. Builder's First Source digital tools provide home builders greater transparency and control over their projects. This revolutionary suite of tools helps accelerate the sales process, better engage home buyers, and streamline construction before you break ground. Innovation meets job site reality. Builder's First Source is pushing the industry forward with robotic manufacturing, 3D visualization tools, and advanced framing techniques, all built to increase efficiencies and improve your production speeds. Solutions that work where you work. From hurricane zones to high altitude builds, their tailored building solutions are engineered to perform because where you build changes how you build. Top products and trusted guidance. These guys are more than just materials. They're here to help you be a better builder. As I said earlier, I've been a BFS customer for over 20 years now. I started with them in the Pacific Northwest, and I stuck with them when I moved to Texas over 20 years ago. And they are gonna offer you hands-on support, practical insights, and expert advice that goes way beyond just the materials list. So big thanks to Builder's First Source, and look for your local BFS yard to get started today.
My path to becoming a builder, kind of born into it. And so my father, he became a builder whenever I was a teenager, and my mother was the real estate broker for it. And so they kind of, worked hand in hand. She would do the budgeting and the sales side of things, and he would do the building. And so I started off as the job site cleanup guy. Whenever I got out of the service, then I got my bachelor's in construction management, and then I got my master's in project management. And we just kind of you had looked at different paths, and construction was always fun for me. And my wife, she always said, like, you have a greater passion for that than anything else, and so get back into it and kind of heave-ho. And so we did. And a couple of years back, we've opened our own company, and so the name's CDK Coastal Homes, and so that's named after our kids. And so Christian, David, and Kennedy. And so it kind of, I joke with them because my name's not even on the company, it's theirs. And it's not Jason Custom Homes, it's the kids' Custom Homes. And so it's pretty neat, kind of full circle. But yeah.
There he is. What's up, Jason?
Matt, how's it going, man?
Good, brother. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
We must be building the coast. I see some sticks everywhere in these
welcome
houses.
to paradise, though. I mean, you came from it, and here we are. So, yeah, what do you think of the place?
This is pretty wild, dude. I suspect that the ocean is not far from us, as the I was going to say as the crow flies, as the seagull flies.
As the seagull flies, yeah. It's going to be awesome. Whenever we get up there and look at the deck, beautiful shot of the water.
Oh
you guys,
my
you guys are
gosh.
gonna love it. Yeah,
This is not an easy place to build a house if
It
you've
is
got to
not.
raise it up this high.
So don't be afraid of heights if you're out here in this construction industry. So
Yeah, because nothing's on the ground when you're on the coast.
nothing's on the ground. Yeah, no, this one's 12 feet up.
Although,
And-
interestingly enough, I'm looking across the way here and I'm
Yeah.
seeing some, I don't know, 80s houses maybe.
that is correct.
Those were not built 12 feet high, were they?
They were not, no. So as time changes, floodplains change and lessons learned and all that fun stuff. So fresh engineering, fresh data and everything on this development. And so we're 12 feet high and we're kind of towering over everybody that's around here.
Yeah,
so,
I can see that. So, and I'm seeing a bunch of through-bolt type connections. I suspect you have to think about galvanized versus hot dip versus electroplated versus the two flavors of stainless. What
Correct,
do you
yeah.
have to do with that down here?
So for us, as a minimum, for the most part, everything as a minimum is hot dip galvanized.
Okay.
And so everything is treated. Then specifically because we do fortified construction, on the outside, all of our fasteners are stainless. And so the bolts that we have through here, we're connecting the pilings to the stringers. And so everything we have is stainless.
Gotcha.
Stainless on the siding that we use, everything is stainless.
And don't forget, I learned from my other coaster builder buddy, Wade Paquin, that stainless doesn't mean stain free.
Correct.
It means it stains less.
Yes.
So you can actually get rust on stainless, believe it or not.
That
right?
is true, yeah. And the idea too is that it's superficial, that it doesn't rot out, but we've
Right.
seen even hot dip galvanized bolts that are a period of years old, and you can just break them apart.
Wow.
Yeah, it
but
is,
the
it is.
stainless will get some surface rust, but not to the core, so it's not going to snap on you.
That is correct. Yeah, that's the concept anyway. Of course, we're always learning, and it's a tough environment, so we
Sure.
try to use the best that we can.
But remember, not stain free, stain less.
Stain less.
Wade
That's-
Paquin taught me that.
That is it. Yes, sir.
Now, what does it look like it rained last night around all these columns when you've got such a big overhang here? It looks like you got a puddle of water happening on some of these columns, like this one in particular. You can really see it. What's going on with this?
So we have a few different things. So they're concaved in because we use a water injected method. And so specifically, I have my boys are 16 and 14, and they'll come out here with a PVC pipe and a water hose hooked on it, and the end of it, we've perforated it, and so we just start injecting next to the pilings. And so
what's that doing for you?
So we're just taking the soil, because whenever we install this thing, it has the capability of making air pockets in there, and so
Okay.
we want to avoid the air pockets. And so we'll take the water and shoot it in there, and then it'll start taking the sand around it and forcing it
Oh, it's
down to
compaction.
fill in. That's all it is. And so it's kind of simple. And in
love
theory,
it.
and so whenever we come out and you come back about a day or so later, and the holes are kind of concaved in. Then last week, we had about call it 5 inches of rain, give or take.
Yep.
And so we had rain kind of everywhere. And so because we have a depression, then the water kind of sits over here. But that's why you see depressions all around these pilings.
You're at the coast when the builder's like, oh, we had 5 inches of rain last week. He says it matter-of-factly like it was just a normal week.
Just a normal week,
we
yeah.
got 5 inches last week.
Hey, we're thankful. We've been in a drought for a period of months, and so we've been kind of wanting some drinking water, and so we'll take the rain whenever we can get it.
5 inches, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a little different.
So no construction until we get to, what'd you say, 16 feet tall? No,
So we're 12
feet tall.
we're 12 feet
12
tall,
feet
yeah.
tall, okay.
Yes, sir.
And then everything living space is above that. This, based on what's happening in the neighborhood, I suspect you built some of these as well.
Correct.
We've got boat space, car space, whatever.
Yeah.
But we could, in theory, have a surge that would be several feet high.
That is correct,
The
yeah.
house would be just fine. Would that surge mess with your pilings, though?
So for us too, we're encapsulating the whole thing in concrete.
Okay.
And so we have concrete driveways and stuff like that. And then again, heavily engineered everything. And so
Right. This isn't just a 3-inch slab with some mesh in it, is it?
No,
on
no,
these
it's not.
driveways?
And so for us too, again, everything's engineered. Our engineers specifically, they really push us to the edge. And so I want them to tear the house apart. And so this thing's going to last for an extremely long time.
Yeah, and this isn't some small pressure treat like I'm building my deck back in Austin either. It looks ultra green.
That it is.
This is some serious amount of treatment here.
Oh, it is. It is.
That's pretty wild. And I also think it's interesting when I pulled up that it's got both brown and green zip on the outside. I suspect
Yes.
that was not an accident or not a supply issue where they ran out of brown or ran out of green that day. There's probably some forethought on that.
That is true, and so it's nothing that we forgot about or had an accident.
Yep.
So for this, we use 7/16 zip, which is the green sheathing
Yep.
on the walls. but there's some areas of the house that we either have to change up our nail pattern. So instead of 6 inches in the field, we have to use 4.
Wow.
But then also there's some areas of the house that we have to use 5/8.
Wow.
And so this brown sheet over here so that's 5/8 at a specific location per our engineer's requirements. But we, again, we try to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
And so we go through and a lot of the current stage that we're in is just waterproofing and extra layers of sealant. And so we go through, we seal up the bottom, and we're taking liquid and we're filling in every single nail hole. I understand it's not a requirement per se.
Yeah.
I'm paranoid, and you have to be paranoid down here.
Little
so
belt
we try.
and suspenders.
That's all it is.
Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
Extra layer of protection.
Yeah,
Yes,
extra
sir.
layer of protection.
Yeah.
Now there's also some vapor barrier / humidity issues down here as well, aren't
Yes.
there?
That,
Talk to me about what that means for you as a coastal builder.
So humidity is kind of the killer of anything good, and so just it will find the path of least resistance or whatever, and so we're looking for pinholes is what we're trying to find so that we can prevent that. And so you have to be thinking that from day one, minute one. How can I prevent that? How can I control what we have? And so specifically our framing, we're trying to put the armor on the outside of the house, making sure it's properly insulated on the inside, making sure our AC is dialed in to look at the big picture and take care of everything.
When it's 90% humidity on these coastal days, and it's right in the middle of the morning or almost noon here, and it's still windy.
Yeah.
That wind is carrying with it a lot of moisture.
It is.
And you're air conditioning a whole lot of the year, probably 11 months of the year we're running the AC down here.
Correct.
So there's going to be a cold condensing surface for that humidity to find a place to condense and turn into liquid water, right?
That's exactly right. Yes, sir. Yeah. And again, that's something that we're always trying to learn and improve. And so as I watch your shows and you share some knowledge that you've learned and stuff, then you'll see a lot of that here, because a lot of it is just us talking and sharing with different builders, and what are you seeing, what's working, and let's learn the science behind it, methods of install, and let's incorporate what works and what's appropriate for the environment.
That's right. Yeah. How about we go find a ladder? Let's go see if we can take a look upstairs, shall we?
All right, Matt. So I want you to feel extra special because we completely changed up our methods of construction for you. Normally, we kind of save the stairs till the end, but I didn't want us having to climb up a 12-foot ladder to get up here and see the house. So
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
It gives you a little bit of a warm and fuzzy.
I am becoming an old man these days, so so I appreciate some stairs over a ladder any day.
Yeah.
So we've got a pockmark on the building, which makes me smile. This isn't graffiti, is it? What do you got going on here, man?
Not graffiti at all. So we're trying to go, again, the extra step, the extra mile. And so as we are kind of hitting the waterproofing stage on the outside of the house, so we got our zip system installed, we got our tape, we're going through now, and we're rolling it with the zip roller on here. And then on top of that, with our nail holes that we have whenever we install our fasteners are installed per engineering requirement. And basically we're just installing liquid zip flashing on top of every single nail hole. Again, not a requirement, but again, like we're just trying to go a step further.
Yeah, you got to hit everything on that house.
Yes, sir.
What's our overhang here? Maybe a foot or so?
So we have a 12-inch overhang, and so we utilized your monopoly framing. Wherever we could. Being a coastal environment, we have kind of certain requirements that our engineers force us to stay with. And so with that, on our monopoly framing, instead of stopping the roof decking to the wall, we overhung the roof decking a little bit, so we have one giant seam across this line, easier to tape seal it. And then same thing around here. So on the front porch, we're having to seal all this.
I like it. Looks good, man. Let's walk inside. We'll get out of the weed eater noise for a second there. All right, Jason, here's something you don't see every day.
Yes, sir.
There's got to be a method to this madness as well. What's up with the zip tape at these seams here?
So this house is, again, we're using certain methods of install and everything. So whenever we do a blower door test, you do it at certain stages. Well, for us, we're doing multiple blower door tests throughout, and I want the raw data to show at what stage and how it affects the house. And so for us, we're on stilts. And so you might have some type of an air leakage through the floor. We use Advantech on this. And so we're going through and we're taping some of the seams down. And whenever I get all my zip sheathing and liquid flashing done on the outside, we're gonna close everything up and do a blower door test, see what we're like now. We're going to install siding, see what the change is, and then we're going to install insulation and then drywall, and we're going to keep documenting what the data shows on that.
Very smart. I like that a lot.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, what's your attic insulation strategy? What will you do for your attic? I'm assuming this won't be a standard ventilated attic, right?
No, sir. No. So we spray foam all of our attic spaces, and we put our air handler inside the attic. Science-wise, it just makes all the sense to us in the world to have your air handler in a climatized space, and so that's our method. Yes,
Makes
sir.
sense. That's just a regular hurricane, Kai. But you're actually doing them on both sides, which is unusual. This is a coastal detail, isn't it?
That is correct. Yes, sir. So we have straps up there, and then if you look, we have some straps embedded here, 36-inch wide straps. That are connecting, going up here.
Oh, I see it
down.
in this bay right here. It's a little hard to see, but it's on the back side of the stud.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Before you sheathed it.
That is correct.
And it looks to me like that hurricane tie was on before sheathing as well.
Correct. Some of them were on before, some of them after, yes,
So
sir.
you actually have them on the back side, the front side, on both sides of the rafters.
Yes, sir, yeah.
That's some serious hurricane ties.
And so again, our level of detail and our engineering firm that we use, push us hard. And so it's another inspection that we have on the coast that we wouldn't necessarily have inland a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we'll have, whenever we get the walls up and getting the roof tied in, we'll have a strapping inspection at that point in time before we cover it up, making sure right straps, right places. And then we'll actually use on different corners of the house, we'll use 66-inch tall metal straps.
Holy cow.
And so they're pretty well engineered.
Beefy.
That they are. They are.
Now, how come you got a couple of boots up already? I'm surprised your HVAC guy started already.
So this is one of the fun parts about it. So let me show you this. So in this house, we have a nice big attic space. Everything's kind of connected. So our concept here that our AC guy kind of introduced us to is we have a whole house return system. And so on a return air or on an AC system, you typically have a supply duct and a return duct. Well, we're spray foaming the attic, and okay, well, we don't need a return duct. And so I want the temperature here to completely comply with everything that's in the attic, one uniform temperature. And so these boxes, we put them here to kind of show you what we're doing. And so there's going to be no ducts connected to these boxes. We're still going to do vent grills on them.
Gotcha.
So it looks like a normal return vent,
so
but
it's a
not.
return air pathway.
That is correct.
Which gives you the benefit of the same humidity everywhere as well, right? Because you're moving air through that space on a regular basis.
Correct.
Which
yes,
probably
sir.
means you don't necessarily have to do supply air up to that attic, because you're getting, every time the system turns on, you're getting air movement through
It's just
there.
going to completely circulate, yeah. So whenever you're in the living space here, pretty much going to be the exact same thing in the attic space as well.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you need a dehumidifier in these houses? Or are you using a dehumidifier?
I like,
in these
so
houses?
they have, so ACs have improved and they keep improving over the years, thank God. But with us, we still prefer to have dehumidifiers on all of our units.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, put a separate dehumidistat in, because you definitely need it. And these are probably rentals, a lot of them, maybe not all of them.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of that dehumidifier is you could set and forget your dehumidifier to 50% relative humidity, turn your thermostat up to 78 or 80 maybe, and we're still going to maintain low humidity inside the house even when the AC isn't running.
Correct. And so especially, again, technology changes. If your house isn't lived in and it's either a rental or a second house or something like that, then I want you to monitor your house when you're gone. And so with that being said, we set all of our customers up with an app tied into your thermostat, and you can just look it up and see, monitor your system. Do I have an error showing up or what have you?
Right.
What's my humidity readout? And they'll have all that on their phone.
Makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Jason, talk to me about subfloors and what we need to know about floor coverings, because there are some floors that can be a problem in a coastal home that's elevated like this, aren't there?
Anytime we use a product, my whole thing is prove it to me. And so if a manufacturer says, hey, we have this product, great, prove it to me. And give me the data, show me how this works and stuff before I use it. And so at Vantech Flooring, I've probably used this my entire career as far as the subfloor system goes. And so we install that specifically with Advantech subfloor glue. We use ring shank fasteners as well on this and our roof. And so with that being said, LVP flooring is one of the most popular products to use for flooring now.
Luxury vinyl plank.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Basically sheet goods, but now instead of a big sheet of vinyl flooring, it's planks that kind of look like wood.
That's
Everyone
exactly
says
right.
they're great on dogs and they're super impervious, but what's the problem with those?
So they're great, especially we were talking about for the environment and the coastal climate. So with that, sand, just
sand
beach
cleans
stuff,
up
whatever.
easily, sure.
Yeah, and so they come in and just stuff can get everywhere. It's super convenient just to be able to mop up real quick. Problem is that with that, it's kind of like just a Ziploc bag and covering up your whole floor. So imagine putting a Ziploc inside of another Ziploc, and you can get humidity forming, in between the two.
Yep.
And so that's what can happen. And so if you don't properly take care of your house and build it in the right way, you can get humidity passing through your floor, getting into the house, and instead of carpet or something being in here to allow it to breathe into the house, it seals it. So then you'll have that gap between your LVP and your Advantech, and it's just going to start condensating. And so
have
that's
you
what we're
ever
trying
seen
to
that
avoid.
before? What happens?
I've seen that more times than what I want to have.
And does the subfloor get soggy in that case?
It does. As good as Advantech is, as this type of flooring has continued to grow in popularity, especially remodels or even new construction, just kind of lack of knowledge or what have you. I've been in, I don't know how many houses that people will call me about, and you walk in, we had one up the road that 2 years old and the whole floor system was rotted out. And this is Advantech flooring, like this stuff.
2-year-old house.
2 years old. Like I said, Advantech flooring, like this stuff is, solid. And so it's humbling that just a simple method of install has a rotted out subfloor in 2 years.
So let me break that down real quick for people watching who don't quite understand what's happening. The LVP is basically a zero perm, right? It's a Ziploc bag analogy. The subfloor is going to be the same temperature as the house. So let's say the client set their thermostat to 68 degrees in the summertime. So this Advantech is 68 degrees or whatever. It doesn't have to be Advantech. Whatever your subfloor is 68 degrees. Now the insulation below that, let's say if it's pink fluffy stuff and there's a perforated ceiling below that, may allow both air and humidity to flow into that kind of floor space. And if there's a missing bat, a bat that falls down, whatever, it's as if your cold glass of ice water were sitting on the railing outside here in Rockport on a hot summer day. It's gonna just sweat and condense and condense and condense. And even Advantech, which works fabulous through the rainy season, isn't meant to be submerged. And that's basically what's happening is that condensation that occurs has nowhere to dry out, has nowhere to go. It's oftentimes even trapped between the flooring and the Advantech on the top side. And so in time, every subfloor is gonna become spongy, and eventually that sponginess turns to actual rot, and someone could actually fall through the floor.
Sadly, that's true.
In the hot, humid South, we do not want a vapor barrier anywhere on the inside of the house. Now we can do a vapor retarder on the outside and even get away with a zero perm like a Polyguard type product on the outside, as long as there's a pathway and nothing to stop that from the inside. Including even another thing that happens to us in Austin all the time is when people mastic their mirror to an outside wall. They glue that mirror on. That mirror is a vapor barrier. When they remodel, they take that mirror off and there's all kinds of mold back there behind the masticed on mirror. So you have to be really, really thoughtful and cautious. No vinyl wallpapers, no vinyl flooring. Really nothing that's going to slow down vapor from drying to the inside.
That is correct, 100%.
Spot.
Yes, sir.
But not everybody knows that or thinks about it.
It's
crazy to think about a 2-year-old house that would have a pretty serious building failure.
It is humbling, very much so. Yeah. No, it is. It is.
Good work out here, man. I love that you know your science.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And
super important.
And thank you so much for sharing everything that you have. I'll show you another thing that we stole from you, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So on all of our windows, we overbuilt the frames, and so whenever we overbuilt them, we wrapped them with zip coming in.
Fabulous.
And then of course we tape seal them on the outside. We we put liquid on the frame and put it in and stuff. So there's about 8 layers of protection on these windows to try to keep them from leaking.
And then you'll air seal on the inside. So
correct.
So no air is going to get through that space.
Yes, sir.
And even with a not crazy expensive window, I found that you can get pretty low blower door scores on a house like this where the builders really thought about that. Do you have any idea of where your score what your range on your houses is?
So I call it a requirement. It's not a legal requirement, but you have to be below below a 1 ACH on your blower door test. And so if you are above that, your propensity of having problems increases greatly.
Sure.
And so for us, granted, we want to be below that at the installation stage. And so preferably we try to be around the 0.6 mark on it.
Fabulous.
And so we put a lot of effort into it.
I'm impressed. And is your inspector requiring you to have a certificate that shows that blower door score?
In this specific area where we're at, it's not a requirement. We're outside the city limits, but for us, we do it anyway. And so we still show them all the data. So Matt, speaking of windows, we were just talking about that. I'm going to talk to you about one of the things that makes this house different from its neighbors and everybody else in the vicinity. So for us, we're one of the only Fortified contractors in this area. And Fortified is a special program to show and document how solid we build these houses and how good they're going to be able to withstand hurricanes are a massive threat. We had Hurricane Harvey, you mentioned, a couple years back. And so for us, every house that we build has a minimum standard of a Fortified Silver as just a minimum, but then you can increase it to a Fortified Gold. The biggest difference, or one of the differences that we start with is a sealed roof system. We install that specifically with ring shank fasteners. Then we take the whole framing methodology, apply it to the house. Fortified Gold meaning as well that we have impact rated doors and windows here. So on the coast, whenever a storm's coming, a lot of times there's that panic of I got to install some plywood on the outside of the house. You don't have to do that, especially if it's a house that you're not in 24/7. It's a second home. My house is locked up. My house is safe. I'll see the house after the storm hits. And so it's a big convenience factor for the clients.
Fortified's an amazing program. We've been shooting a lot of videos of their job sites, and it's a no-brainer for somebody down here on the coast.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult, but again, we try to keep our standards pretty high.
That's really smart.
Yes, sir.
Now, Jason, I understand you've got another one under construction at a later stage, not too far from here.
Yes, sir.
How about we jump in your truck? Let's go look at another house under construction.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll meet you there. Jason, kind of fun to see a nearly complete house, it looks like, over here. But I got to ask you, the last house was the Fortified Gold standard.
Correct.
Does the porta potty meet the certified brown standard over here?
This is more of a silver standard.
It looks to me like even the potty is fortified.
Well, you kind of have to because you'll get these winds constantly going through here. We're big about job site cleanliness, so we
So did you strap that, or did the guys from the porta potty company strap it down?
No, we have them strap it down. So every porta john, whenever
awesome.
They bring it out, they know our job sites strap them down.
I gotta admit, I walked up, I was like, why is there string attached to it? Oh, that's a hold down. We don't do that. That is pretty fabulous.
That is it. Yeah, that's why I was telling you the story that whenever I was much younger and I was working for my father as he was a builder, and part of my role, whenever a storm would come through in Missouri, they'd knock down the porta johns on the job site. Part of my role was to go through and stand them all back up and try to stay clean during the process.
Yeah, oh, terrible.
So good.
Really smart to hold them down.
Yeah.
So we're not too far distant from the last house in terms of coast direction, but this one has a pretty sweet canal behind it. I bet your customer's gonna love having their boat back there on this one.
That is correct.
But I gotta ask you. I mean, the first thing I think of when I walk up to the job when we drove up is like, why is your blue house looks like it's mostly upstairs?
Correct.
And yet the house to the left looks like it's mainly slab on grade. Is that literally a slab on grade house?
Yeah, so this house is kind of a hybrid. And so the right side of the house has pilings on it. The left side of the house, slab on grade.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit of both worlds.
And so are you building flood hardy for that slab on grade side? Are you worried that there could be storm surge or floods or those kinds of things?
So, I mean, never say never, so God's always going to humble us. However, technically speaking, this whole house is out of the floodplain.
Okay.
And so, and whenever I say so, the left side it is a slab on grade, we still built a slab around the pilings on the right side too. We have a garage and stuff like that. So,
gotcha.
So yeah, so it's a little bit of both worlds.
Okay. Now, when I look at the ditch here, I think you mentioned earlier, you get you got 5 inches of rain last week.
Yes, sir.
When you're on sand, you just assume that sand is going to be a great perk. But this is rain that's a week old at this point, right?
Correct. Yeah. So about a week, and if you notice, like there's not a lot of flow.
Yeah.
And kind of goes into this neighborhood as far as the overall layout and stuff. It is a little bit older. Goes into design and how important new up-to-date engineering and developments are in making sure that we get water flowing and getting out and away from here, because these are going to turn into mosquito heaven like a week.
Yeah, I could see that. The other thing I noticed right away is this looks like a beefy son of a gun when it comes to a driveway. That was an expensive concrete drive. I see all the rebar sticking out. There's no cheap mesh in there.
No mesh.
And also look on the left-hand side and think, is that a grade beam I'm seeing in there?
We do, yeah. So grade beams left and right side going all the way up. It is a tall one, so went through the low-lying areas, so hopefully it doesn't get any water on his driveway. We did some pipes in between.
I love seeing the sleeves. Any builder in the U.S. should learn from you on the sleeves.
Well, it's
looks like it's a standard. You put them about every 30, 40 feet on this long driveway.
Pretty much, yes, sir. Yeah.
That way the landscaper can always find a spot to run an irrigation pipe through, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, irrigation, wires later on after the fact. And so before we had this one done, I talked with the homeowner, hey, is there any possibility you're going to want something electric at the front, like a gate or something?
Sure.
There was, so we went ahead and ran a buried conduit for a certain distance to get up there just in case.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, another thing that I think when I come up to a coastal house like this is we probably had to pay special attention to rust on the outside. Like the last job, you had stainless steel on all your through bolts.
Correct.
What about like these fixtures out here, or even, am I seeing rust on the neighbor's AC condenser outside?
It's a very common thing down here. And so especially the closer you get to the water, the more propensity it is to have some rust and stuff developing on it. But yeah, that house is only a couple years old, and that AC unit is covered in rust.
And what's crazy is it looks like the other smaller unit is the same age, but it's totally fine. And the bigger boy, it looks like she's all rusty.
If you look also, the point of reference to the water side one is way worse.
Oh, the
than
water
this
side one. I didn't even think about that. That makes sense, yeah.
It's amazing how you can even have like the same house that, it backs up to the water, and just that rear wall gets so much different exposure than just something next to it. Even if you just have a little build out, that's something next to it's not going to get the amount of exposure.
Yeah.
It is just fascinated in a horrible way about how that happens. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, I guess that this is just temporary construction, AC or heat, right? With those window rattlers, window units, right?
So
that's fabulous, man. What a great way to do it.
So I've had some clients. I had a client a couple years back come over to me. We had some units in their house, and they're super concerned about their AC system, and they were just all distraught about it. I said, "What's the problem? It's brand new. Everything." And they said, "But I didn't want it in the window." And I said, "What are you talking about the window?" And they said, "Well, I don't want my AC in the windows. How am I?" And I said, No. It's a temporary thing. We're just climatizing your house. Those will go away." And okay.
I get it.
It was hilarious. So these are not permanent, but we put a few of them in there in dehumidifiers throughout the house at certain phases of construction to get the house climatized, get humidity out of it, all that stuff.
It's a great, inexpensive way to do it. I really like that.
It is.
Really smart. Yeah. Now, what's up with these buttons that I'm seeing, these caps? Like, is that a cap screw to hold the trim on these windows?
So these are for call it windborne debris covers. So we're in Hurricane Alley, and so in the event that a storm does come, if you have non-impact windows, which this one's a Fortified silver rating.
Okay.
So we have a Fortified roof system, stainless steel on the outside, but we're able to do non-impact doors and windows on there. And so with that, it is going to be a requirement if a storm does hit like a hurricane, and then you need to be able to put some plywood or OSB, something to cover your windows. Well, used to, like the standard was, if you had a window, you'd have like it looked like a bunch of fingers coming out of it, and it would just like prongs that would just stick out of it. Not really all that appealing, and it just looks like you stuck your hand in a porcupine. And so this right here, these little caps, they're little plastic caps. In the event that a storm does come through, you just take your knife out and you just pop the cap off, and it's going to expose about a 6-inch bolt in there. And the idea is that you just back the bolt out, slide your plywood over the top of it, and then we have plastic retainers, and so you'll just slide that down there and cinch it down.
Kind of like a shim retainer that holds it tight against
That's exactly it, yeah.
But it's into the structure of the window frame and header and that sort of thing.
That is correct, yeah. And so, and even like the bolts, the clips, everything is supplied by our engineering firm. Wow. Everything's, of course, past our inspection. So, I mean, we seriously take the best and brightest and put them on the job.
That's really smart.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's go check out the back of the house. We'll meet y'all back there. Oh man, Jason, what a location. This is incredible. So close to the water. Now here's something I don't see every day.
Mm-hmm.
These exterior doors are outswing exterior doors, aren't
They
they?
are outswing, yes,
What's
sir.
up with that?
So, it's a twofold thing, but engineering-wise, a lot better. Reason being is that if you can imagine a storm, outward pressure blowing towards the house with the door closed, it's trying to blow the door closed
That makes sense.
as opposed to trying to blow it open. And so just, like I said, engineering-wise, it's another step that it makes it safer.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it when we were walking by a second ago, but I noticed your garage door has all those big kind of galvanized eye ribs on the back of the door. That's for wind load, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's a wind load rating on that one, and so that thing should take a good pounding if the storm does hit.
Yeah, because we want to maintain that garage door not to blow those out, and then that depressurizes or pressurizes the house, as the case may be.
100%, yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's part of that Fortified program, is really thinking about how do we hold the roof down? If the roof blows off, how do we seal the roof deck so that the roof doesn't take on water? How do we keep the house from having an entry point, whether it's windows or doors or garage doors? Really smart to see that here in coastal construction.
100%.
Can we walk into that basement section? Let's go see what it looks like.
Yeah, let's check it out. All right.
So this is the main front door in the house, I guess, right?
It is, main front door. Not the permanent one. We're gonna switch that one out towards the end.
Yep.
And welcome to a cool kitchenette type of thing and some bedrooms down here. This is the entry to the house.
I love it, looks great. But I'm such an HVAC nerd, I gotta immediately look at the open closet that I see over here.
Yeah.
Jason, here's a detail that I've seen on Joe Stiebrick's buildingscience.com website, but never seen it in person. You stuffed a dehumidifier into the return side. That is super smart.
Yes,
that is
sir.
a great detail.
Well, again, our level of paranoia, hot, humid climate, stuff like that. And so we tried to, do the best we can to make this house last forever. So, yeah.
And so my guess is you have a dehumidifier down here, which means you probably have one upstairs as well, right?
We do 2 independent units. Yes, sir. Yep.
Really smart, especially in the South, to do 1 per floor. In theory, you could have 1 for the whole house. They always say, humidity equalizes through the whole house, but in reality, that buoyant hot air rises, and so typically humidity will rise in the house, and so you really need a dehumidifier in each floor of the house.
You're 100% right, and that's where it's so important that even if you're told one thing, do your own study and learn the building science behind it, so that you can go 1 step above.
Yeah. Something else to mention. The northern builders have no idea what this weird drywall is. This is texture, which is extremely common in the South, and gets sprayed on after you go to a level 3 or a level 4. You can see it maybe a little bit better in the ceiling there. It's a little hard to get on camera. But in the north, even the cheapest of cheap houses get like a level 3 plus smooth.
Yeah, and that's it.
And they stop, and there's lots of imperfections, but they leave it as smooth wall.
Yeah.
Whereas only kind of the most expensive houses in the South go to a level 5, where they're really obsessing about the smoothness of the drywall. And we hardly do any plaster down here, which is interesting.
Correct, yeah, very interesting. But yeah, we don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, really very, very few. Meet you guys upstairs.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, look at this, Jason. This is beautiful out here.
Yeah. The clients are extremely excited to be nearing the finish line, getting close to moving in.
I think I would have a pina colada on the back deck every night after dinner if this was my view.
That would be my habit, yes, sir.
But I suspect these coastal homes, if you've done any remodeling, and I know you have,
yes, sir,
you probably find some crazy stuff. Any stories about relatively new construction and some crazy stuff you found?
Well, it's kind of neat and it's kind of humbling, somewhat in a sad way, in that we've had houses to where we're called in at 2 years old, and floors being rotted out. We've got a remodel going on at the moment that it's a little bit up the coast from us, and so it's on the water, a big exposure to humidity and stuff. House was only 10 years old, built with house wrap, and windows not properly sealed, stuff like that. Homeowner asked us to come out to kind of give an evaluation of it, and sure enough, after we started testing, then yeah, there was just a lot of rot, a lot of nasty stuff, and we ended up on that one have to tear the whole thing down to the studs, and it's a 3-story house, and it was sad. It's
not even a decade old.
Not even a decade, and so it's
crazy.
It's extremely sad because that house was drop dead gorgeous, or it was, and so every time somebody swung a hammer, that means something pretty came out. And you just kind of cringe a little bit, but you have to in order to properly seal the house.
Yep.
And there's just no easy way to do it.
I mean, that air sealing is water sealing, number one.
Yes.
But air sealing's right behind it, because in this environment, that humidity comes with it.
Yeah.
And our houses in this area, like we said earlier, 11 months out of the year are air conditioning. And if that air leaks in, it's going to find a cold condensing surface. And at a minimum, you're going to get some microbial growth. At a maximum, you're going to get some serious rot and damage.
Correct, yeah. And I don't want that phone call however many years. I want 10 years from now, 20 years from now, my clients to keep calling me, keep coming over for barbecues and stuff, and not be an ambush of some sort. I want them to have happy faces.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go back and see the rest of this kitchen and main space here.
Sure. Let's check it out.
Did I notice that there maybe is a electric fireplace going on here? Is that what I'm
There is an
seeing?
electric fireplace. So, go back, let's say, a few years ago even, electric fireplace, a little passé, and kind of when would you do that? Hot, humid south. If you do, real wood or gas fireplace, when are you going to use it? You're virtually never going to use it. So get you an electric fireplace. They can still produce heat if you want to, but also you get the cosmetic benefit of it, and you can actually use it all year.
And they look a lot better than they used to.
Super different than they were before. Super different.
Now I'm seeing a little bit of exposed open cell. It looks like spray foam there. Talk to me about insulation, spray foam. What do we need to know about that working on the coast?
Yeah. So depending on what part of the house that you're in, you're going to get open, closed cell, open and closed cell, something like that. And so a big thing that I try to stress to everybody, even other builders, is that there's a difference between foam. Foam is not just foam. And so, you have the difference closed cell versus open cell. Closed, it doesn't allow humidity to pass through. Yep. A little bit more dense, and you can actually tie it into some structural elements, but open cell, it has some decent thermal properties to it, but humidity passes through.
Pretty fluffy.
That it is, yeah. And so you have to know the difference, and you have to know where to place it. So on areas like what we'd call a cold floor. So if you come over here, there's a breezeway right underneath us over here.
Right.
And so
where that Suburban was parked is below us.
That's
so
exactly
this would be your cold floor.
This is a cold floor, yes, sir. So we have, I think, 2 in there. So we have it here above the garage, and kind of an overhang over there. So we use a closed cell foam system here versus, we don't have to use that on the rest of the house.
So the reason being is that if we had some air leaks into that soffit area,
yes,
we want that vapor retarder from allowing that humidity to find a cold condensing surface.
Correct.
And so I suspect you also probably do a pretty good inspection before those guys leave the job.
Yeah, and actually it's kind of funny. So the owner of the house is actually our AC contractor who actually does our blower door test for us.
How about
He's
that?
great on building science and stuff, and so he'll tear the house apart. And so he of course did his own blower door test on this house, and so we did great with it. But yeah, the concept with our spray foam and everything that we're doing, we want the armor on the outside of the house.
Yeah, that's right.
As much as possible.
Yeah. 2 tips for spray foam that I want to pass on to these guys. You probably know this already, but
yes, sir.
In the South in particular, in Texas, we tend to be really, in my opinion, a little too light when it comes to spray foam and how much to use. A lot of jurisdictions allow a lower amount of spray foam because it cathedralizes the attic. I'm not a fan of that, so whatever your blown-in insulation value is, I prefer to use that on the roof deck as much as possible. And then lastly, I would tell you, if you got a foam crew that you're not familiar with and you want to double check their depth, hand them a poker, hand them basically a coat hanger that you put a piece of tape. So if you know that you need 9 inches of open cell at your roof deck, and that's what you paid for, hand them a poker that has 9 inches taped, and say, if I use this poker after you're done and I don't find anything that's not 9 inches, I'm gonna give you this crisp $100 bill for each guy in your crew. And then they're incentivized, not the boss, but the guy who's actually spraying. I've done that, I've given that tip to a few people over the years, including some homeowners that were self-contracting, and it works like a charm. Those guys would really make sure that you get your full 9 inches. On the other hand, over the years, when I haven't said that and gone back and tested, sometimes I've realized, oh my gosh, I only got 6 inches over here when I paid for 9 and I had to get the crew back out. That's painful for everybody.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, really test and double check. And you're really smart to think about that vapor barrier. And actually, we want a vapor retarder in our cold floors.
Yes, yes, very much so. And again, we're trying to put the armor on the outside of the house, which is below us, as opposed to trying to put the armor on the inside of the house.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man, we're going long, so we should probably let these guys go. So
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate the tour, Jason. You're doing some fabulous work down here in Rockport. Guys, I'm gonna put a link in the description for CDK Coastal Homes. If you're interested in building in Rockport, get a hold of my man, Jason. He and his team do a fabulous job. In the meantime, go follow him on Instagram as well. I'll put his Instagram link. And if you wanna see both of us at Build Show Live, be sure to check out the link, buildshowlive.com. With that being said, stay tuned for our next episode of Building Across America. I'll see you next time on The Build Show.